The Canadian job sector is at an absolute tipping point. That if Justin Trudeau doesn't do something, the Canadian economy is going to drop off a cliff. And we will see a collapse in the job market here in Canada. Why does the Canadian job market have me so worried on what the future for Canada is going to look like? It comes down to a few different factors, and right now we're showing signs of a potential recession that's going to be coming down the pipe, and if Canada doesn't make some changes now, we are going to collapse as an economy. Last year, inflation had everyone worried that we were going to start a recession, and the government was trying to do everything they could to calm this inflation that was happening throughout the world. But here in Canada, if we don't get control of the Canadian job market, this is what's going to be that tipping point to have us drop off the cliff. And the worst part of all is that Justin Trudeau's plan on how to revitalize this job market is just making it worse and screwing up the Canadian economy. The Canadian labor market is in a strange situation, and it's still a long way from a full recovery and needing hundreds of thousands of people to go back to work. But companies are still struggling to fill certain positions. And this main issue that employers are facing is finding skilled workers. There is an absolute shortage in the skilled worker market right now here in Canada. And small businesses say the number one thing that's holding them back is being able to man up and support the demand that their business is facing, but they lack the skilled labor necessary in order to transform their company and break to new levels. Canada reports and estimates that over 700,000 skilled tradesmen will be retiring by 2028. And some of the worst shortages that they do report are going to be in the following trades: industrial mechanics, boiler makers, and welders. And these skilled workers play a key role for revitalizing the infrastructure that we have here in Canada. Another area where we see a absolute shortage in the Canadian economy is in healthcare, and in particular nurses. As reports of this summer, there's over 109,000 unfilled positions in Canada alone in the healthcare industry. And I know what people are going to be saying that are watching this video and challenging my opinion is, hey, the unemployment rate in Canada is actually quite low. And the reason this is due to the amount of immigration that we've been experiencing that has kept these numbers relatively low. But in the skilled work environment, we are lacking a tremendous amount in the workforce in order to meet what potentially is going to be coming down the pipe in terms of recession to keep all these businesses afloat. And when the market comes back around and there's going to be a lot of opportunities to take advantage of some big market share, Canada is going to be lacking because we simply just won't have the labor workforce to take care of these potential gains that we're going to see in the economy in 5 years down the line. So what is Justin Trudeau's plan in order to save the Canadian job market? For him, he's looking at seeking out skilled refugees and bringing them and immigrating here to Canada and putting them into that skilled workforce in order to boost these shortages that we have in these skilled labor requirements. And yes, I am a big believer that immigration plays one of the biggest factors in order for Canada having success in the future. But from my personal opinion is we need to implement some policies and make some changes here on our own soil to provide a better labor force for the people that currently are residing here in Canada, and make some changes for it to be easier for people to enter into this skilled labor market and maybe incentivize them a bit more so we can keep up with demand and keep the businesses and our GDP growth growing here in Canada instead of stagnating like a lot of people are predicting due to this labor shortage. Some of the thoughts that I have on how we can improve this, the example I'm going to be using is specifically into the nursing shortage that we have. I do have a bit of insider information in here because my girlfriend is a nurse and she's graduated in the last 5 years and has joined the healthcare industry as an employee. So firsthand, I get to hear from her on what the major pain points are and what's the limiting factors having the nursing shortage that we're experiencing here in Canada. So some of the thoughts that I have on how we can potentially get more nurses into the market is changing the whole entire school system and adapting to it to more of the modern era and what these nurses really need in order to succeed when they do join the labor force. Let's start off with how competitive it is just to get into the nursing industry nowadays. University and colleges have limited the amount of spots, making it like 90% and above in order just to get in to some of these universities and colleges that offer these nursing programs makes it incredibly competitive because we have such a limited amount of spots, but we do have a ton of applicants. And the worst part about this is there's a direct correlation with high average is not going to be a lot of what the skill sets it needs to be a successful nurse, where a lot of the successful nurses and the people that are really good at their job have more of those softer skills. They maybe don't have the high grades, but they have the more personality traits that people really need and what the public wants in terms of who's going to be taking care of them in these difficult times. So right then and there, raising the standard to such a high percentile is weeding out the market of a lot of people that are potentially going to be great candidates and who will be great nurses in the future because of the academic requirements. My next point being is, why does this program have to be 4 years long? From what I've been told and the insider information I get from everyone that I've talked to from being a nurse is you pretty much could learn all the knowledge and all the schooling aspects of it in probably 1 year time frame if you really just condensed it all to topics that really matter, where most of the learning all happens on the job, where these nurses have to do a ton of placements in different areas and get all these experiences and do a whole bunch of requirements before they're able to graduate in the 4 year time span. Are we able to cut this into 2 years or 3 years and really just shorten everything so we can keep up with the amount of people that are leaving this industry, retiring, or just getting sick of it because they're so overworked and so short staffed that they're leaving the healthcare system entirely just because it is so draining. It's an extremely tough occupation and very emotionally challenging. So I think if there's a way that we can potentially get more students into the program and get them out faster with an accelerated program, just really teaching them what they need to know, then offering them more practical on-the-job training in the hospitals or in whatever area that they're looking to get into, we can accelerate this and catch up with what the demand's going to be for the amount of skilled labor we need in the nursing sector. I personally would love to hear from the people watching my videos what they think would be the answer for this skilled labor shortage and what Canada can potentially do in order to compensate these people or make it better or have more kids interested in actually joining this skilled labor force. And for all the people that are big Justin Trudeau haters, you're going to want to watch this video next where I go over how he just nuked the Canadian housing market.